Hey YouTube, I wanted to talk quickly on why we need to care about what happens to people in other countries, and especially what our government does to people in other countries. Okay, if you ever seen that movie City of God, there's a line in that movie that says, "A rule is a rule until there's an exception, then the exception becomes a rule." Now that's a very, 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 very powerful line and very true, and probably the best explanation as to why we need to care. So now, my argument is, if we get okay with the government torturing people that they suspect, you know, to be guilty of crimes, and we get okay with the government assassinating people, using drones to just fly over a city and just blow up a building because there's a suspected terrorist. If we get okay with that, what's to stop them from one day using that same strategy against us, American citizens? They've already killed American citizens using this program. I mean, what's to stop them from doing it to a drug dealer? And later on, what's to stop them from doing it to somebody who, somebody like me, posting a video on YouTube? What's to stop them from you, the gun owner, buying a couple rounds of ammo to protect himself? Or, maybe you are worried about the end of the world. What's to stop them from seeing you as a terrorist and using those same tactics against you? Now, a lot of people will say that maybe I'm paranoid for thinking that, but if you think about it, how is it that government institutions gain power? Or I should say, how do they gain power? What they do is, they do these tactics to people who the majority don't give a shit about or don't lose any sleep over. So, you kill a terrorist with a drone or a missile, nobody cares. I mean, he had it coming, of course, You wiretap a couple terrorists, what's the big deal? People suspected of terrorists, what's the big deal? You catch one of them and you torture them to get information. Well, I mean, you had to get that information because, he was plotting some attack, So that now becomes the new rule. That's the new normal. That's what we find acceptable. If it's a terrorist, then yeah, it's okay to do whatever they want. Then what you see happens is what's happening right now, where they expand the definition of terrorist and enemy combatant. And they do that to cover up civilian murders and mistakes that they make. So now the definition of an enemy combatant is no longer a man with a rifle or a man with an IED, but it's any person over the age of 8 years old that happens to be a male walking around. That's now an enemy combatant. But the majority of Americans still don't care because that's happening in Pakistan and that's happening in Afghanistan, and those people don't matter because, they're not people after all. They don't matter. They don't have a voice. They don't have a say in anything. Why do we give a shit about them? And then eventually what starts happening is, if it's okay for the military to use these tactics and it's not torture, because America's official position is that they don't torture. What's to stop the law enforcement officers from doing the exact thing to people who, again, we don't care about? Maybe a gang member, waterboard a gang member to get some information, or a guy, drug dealer, in his mansion. We couldn't send, ATF agents or people in there, so instead we just sent a drone with a missile. Again, people don't care about him. When do we start caring, though? Is it when the government expands the definition of terrorist to anybody who says anything anti-government? So maybe somebody on YouTube posting a video disagreeing with some law that they don't like. That guy could be one day seen as a terrorist. Maybe they see him as inciting revolution. You know, all of those guys posting those Illuminati videos and all that stuff. Why can't they be seen as terrorists? Would we be okay with those American citizens getting killed without trial? I know there's this whole argument among a lot of my Second Amendment friends that will say, well, you know, the U.S. Army will never ever turn on American citizens. Well, here's how I'll defeat that argument really easy. You know, they'll always say, yeah, we have a lot of proud patriots in the U.S. Army and we'd never ever, you know, turn our weapons against American citizens. Here's the reality. A soldier is a soldier. A soldier is not a civilian anymore. A soldier is a tool. A soldier's job is to carry out orders. And they will always do just that. And that whole argument of, oh, you know, they'd never ever turn on American citizens, all the higher ups have to tell that soldier is, the guy who we're about to go in is a suspected terrorist. Him and his friends have a, you know, terrorist cell. And that soldier will execute your American ass without even thinking twice. And that's why we need to care about this stuff. And it's already started, man. I mean, look at how they're treating Bradley Manning, for example. The guy is an American citizen, and they've arrested him without charging him for anything. Anything. And they're going to hold him indefinitely. That guy is never ever getting out of jail. If he doesn't get killed, he's going to be in jail for life. He's an American citizen. And they've already started cracking down on people who dissent. I mean, look what they did to Aaron Swartz. They were going to put the guy away for 30 years. 30 years for downloading a bunch of academic articles, and the company that he downloaded from, who he apparently stole these articles from, if you believe the government side of the argument, they weren't even pressing charges against him. Like, they didn't care. They wanted them to drop the charges. But they were against him because he was speaking out. And he was actively doing things to preserve your rights to be able to use the internet. He helped to defeat Pipa and SOPA. I mean, that's the world that we're living right now. If we accept what our government does to people who we don't care about, people who we think are terrorists or whatever, I mean, it's not hard to expand the definition of terrorists and one day to use those same tactics and those same strategies against you, normal people. And my question is, when are you going to start caring?